Hello, my name is Claudia Skinner. I am the CEO, mortgage and mortgage broker for Home Dream Mortgage Group. I'm also the director for Spirit Love Foundation, and I'm going to show you guys today how to complete the USDA direct application, which is going to be form 410-4 or 410-4, either way. I'm going to walk you through step by step the correct way to accurately fill out this application in order to streamline the process of getting you approved for USDA Direct. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and let's go back to our application. Alrighty, so as you can see, this is the 410-4 application. I'm going to give you guys the link and the QR code so that you're able to access this application. The easier route, which is what I recommend my clients do, is to just apply on our website and we'll pull the 1003 out and then we'll transfer that information over to here to upload it. But if you are just one of those people that likes to be more manual, this application can be either printed or I'm going to show you how to use Adobe in order to fill in all the fields. So you will have to have Adobe downloaded, or you can even use Adobe Fill In Time or any type of application like that in order to fill it out. But in this particular video, I'm going to show you how to do it with the Adobe program that I already have installed. So what you're going to do here is once the application is pulled up, you're going to go to I'm on my tablet, so it may look different depending on what you're using, but I just scroll down till I find Adobe. And if you can see here, it's either the Acrobat or the Adobe Fill-In Sign. Either one of those are going to work, but today for the purpose of this video, I'm going to use the Adobe Acrobat. So we're going to let that load open. So for the most part, this application is pretty straightforward. There's just little nuances that I want to address that usually get an application pushed back to where it delays the process. And they're little minor details, and that's the reason why I'm walking y'all through how to do it. So if you can see at the top of the form to the right underneath the form number, there's this little blue box. In this box is going to be on every single page. So I'll scroll through so y'all can see it. It's going to be at the top of every single page. That particular box is going to have your name in this box on every single page. And that helps to keep everything together and in order. So that'll be the first thing we're going to fill out. So I'm going to just type in test application. Oops, I can spell test application. I'm going to copy it because I don't like to have to keep retyping the same thing. So we'll just go through, click on every single page. And I do this because I have a tendency to forget. And if you're human like me, you may forget as well. So this is the first thing I usually just go ahead and knock out just to make life easier. Cool, that's that one. And I have a little cheat sheet as well that I will link for you guys. But if you follow the video, I recommend you guys download it and actually go through each step with me as the video plays. So we got that part out the way. So the next thing that we're going to check is, because this is the USDA Direct program, we're going to check that box for USDA Direct. And if you use Adobe, it will automatically put the checkbox in there for you. So this entire section right here, section 1 and section 2, you actually can ignore outside of, we're just going to click fixed rate, because with USDA Direct, it's going to be a fixed rate mortgage. So those are the only two things that I want y'all to touch in section 1. Everything else, section 1 and section 2, we're not going to be able to fill in because this is pending you getting the certificate of eligibility. Once you get that, then we'll go back into the same application and we'll enter that information once you find a home and we know the amount and the interest rate and all that other good stuff. But right now, we don't need that information. However, on section 2, we do need purpose of the loan. So are you applying for a purchase or are you trying to do a construction? Which one? So if you're not sure, go ahead and select both and we'll then figure it out. Property will be a primary residence. The USDA Direct program does not allow investment. It has to be a primary residence because that particular program is geared towards very low and low income families. So one of the requirements is primary residence. And if you've taken my workshop, you already know this information, but those who haven't, I'm filling you in as we go. So again, we're still in section 2. The only box that I need y'all to focus on is purpose of loan and the property will be primary residence. Other than that, we're going to skip down to where it says title will be held in what names. You're going to put your name here, manner in which title will be held. If you don't know the manner, you can actually leave this blank. Typically, if you're single, this will be sole. And if you're not single, it'll be joint or something like that. But those are terms that really aren't that important right now. So if you don't know it, just leave it blank. But I'm going to put sole in here and then fee simple. And source of down payment, is that going to be your checking account? Are you getting gift funds? Are you employer reimbursement? Whatever you think will be your source of down payment. Keep in mind, USDA does not have a down payment requirement. However, we do look at assets. So assets over a certain threshold by default have to be applied towards the home purchase. So keep that in mind. Also, if you have assets that are listed, such as vehicles, unless you're going to use those vehicles towards your down payment, disregard that. We don't worry about that. You don't have to list it. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to put check, and then I'm going to put the last four. So we're going to do just a mock 001 just to identify it. So the next section is going to be applicant information. So we're going to start entering your personal information, and we're going to do a mock social, phone number, date of birth. This is when we get to the years of school section. This is an important section. So when they say years of school, it's not college. It's actually total. So that means the 12 years for high school and plus college if you went to college. If you didn't go to college and you only went to high school, then it's going to be 12. If you went to high school and college, it's going to be 12 plus 4. And that even includes if you went and got your GED, that counts as 12. And then you went to college, was 4. If you did not complete high school, then you're just going to put the years up until you went, which is like if it was a 10th or 11th grade, whatever. We're not here to judge you. We're just here to accurately gather information for your file. So on this particular one, I'm going to put 14, meaning 12 years of, high school, and then 2 years of college. On here, we're going to put unmarried because you're either going to be married, separated, or unmarried. If you are married, then your spouse will go in applicant 2. If you're separated, then you're going to list them in applicant 2 as well and click separated because we still will have to gather their information for this particular application. Now, there's other things that won't apply, but we still have to gather the information. All right, and then you're going to put your present address, and we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 home. And we're going to put, if of course, you probably are a renter, so we're going to click renter, and then however many years that you rented. We need a minimum of 2 years to show on this application. So if it's just 1 year or a couple months, then make sure that you're listing that in this section right here. If it's less than 2 years, you're going to list it down at this next section. So for this particular application, we're going to go ahead and put 3 years to make it easy. All right, we missed the section, which is the dependents. So you're going to put the number of dependents. So for instance, if you have 4 children or you have 3 children and an elderly member that you take care of, however your household makeup, you're going to list your dependents here. So I'm going to put 3 dependents, and then we're going to put the ages of, let's say, 11, 15, and 16. Those are going to be the dependents. All right. And so if we don't have any, if we have 2 years listed, we're going to skip that and keep scrolling down. Now on employer, you're going to make sure that you have this information accurate because we need the name, the address, we need the number of years and the months that you've been on, that you were on the job. And if it's multiple jobs, you're just going to follow that same pattern all the way down, depending on if the job history. We need a minimum to show of everything 2 years. So if you have multiple employers within those 2 years, make sure you're documenting those time frames accurately, because once we do the verifications, if there's any gaps, then we'll need to explain any gap over 30 days. So for this one, we're going to go ahead and just make it easy peasy and say that they've been employed for 2 years. So we're going to just type in employer 1, work, drive, Austin, Texas, 78735, and been on the job for 2 years and 7 months. And how many years you've been employed in this profession. So say, for instance, you've had nothing but retail experience. So we're going to put however many years of retail experience. If you have nursing experience and this is your current position, we're going to put that. Truck driver, how many years have you driven trucks? All of that information will help us to gauge your profile. So for this one, we're going to put on here that I have 7 years in that profession. And since we have two solid years here, we're not going to worry about the rest of them unless they're additional income. So say for instance, you have 2 jobs. So if you have a second job, we're going to, oh, sorry, y'all. So underneath that, you're going to put position, and I'm going to put on here nurse. Business phone, make sure this is accurate. And then on here, the next section for if you have a second employer, we're going to put employer 2, and that's Austin, Texas, 78735. All right, and we're going to put on there employed for 1 year and 2 months. Monthly income, we're going to list your monthly income as, let's say, we're going to say about $780. And then also, if you're self-employed, just by any chance you end up you're self-employed, you can click that box too. Anything that's listed on your tax returns will be considered. So if you have Schedule C income on your tax returns, you're going to want to list self-employment here and what you actually do, because all of that will count. This is one program that counts every piece of income that comes into the household. It has to be accounted for. So make sure that this is accurate and thorough and that you're listing everything, because if it gets to the underwriter, trust me, and when I tell you, they will pull that information. They will get it one way or another because they will question every single thing on this application. It's a very thorough and vetted process. So for employer 2, we're just going to put cashier or something like that. We're going to list the business phone number, and that's pretty much it for the employment section. And if you have more employers, just going to follow that protocol. If it's less than 2 years, you're going to want to make sure that window is complete and accurate on your 2-year work history. If it's more than 2 years, if your current employer or employers are more than 2 years, or if you have a 2-year and then you have additional income, you're going to follow what I just showed you. But make sure that you're listing at least 2 years worth of employment history here. We don't need a full resume. We just need 2 years. All right. So here on this section, I usually recommend that you use your pay stub. So for instance, on your base employment income, you're going to list whatever your gross income is, and then you're going to add underneath that, because most paycheck stubs are broken out. So say for instance, your base income is going to be your total hourly. Then if you have overtime, you're going to list your total commissions, and so on and so forth. You're going to list whatever your pay stub says is what you're going to list here. So for this one, we're going to list the gross. The monthly is, let's say, $10 an hour. Hold on one second. Let me go back to sharing my screen. So we're going to list what's on the pay stub. So I'm going to use a sample pay stub to put that information on here. So we're going to say that the applicant makes $10 an hour, 40 hours a week. So let's see, calculator, an hour times 40 hours a week. That's $400 times 4. So we're going to put that they have $1,600 a month. Overtime, we're going to say that they work probably $400 worth of overtime. No bonuses, no commissions. If you have those, list those. And then also, if it's aggregate, really and truly, if you're not sure what to put here, just go in and divide your total income on the pay stub, because once we get those pay stubs and your tax returns and all that other good stuff, it will go through its own income qualification. So once that's done, then we'll be able to go in and correct wherever there was an error. But do the best that you can in this section, because the more information that you supply to us, the easier you make the process for us. So anywho, so now on the rent portion, you're going to put the amount that you pay in rent. So for this particular bar, we're going to say that they pay $1,400 a month in rent. You shouldn't have a mortgage or other financing, hazard insurance, real estate taxes, mortgage. You shouldn't have any of that. So we're going to leave all of that blank. Whenever you find the home and after you've been approved for the USDA program, then we'll go back into this section and we'll put the proposed amount of what you will end up having to pay for the new home in the proposed section. But right now, we're going to stick with the present and leave that be. Okay, so this section right here is going to be for if you get SSI, you get child support, alimony, any type of additional income, including your SNAP or TANF benefits. You're going to fill that information in here. So for this household, I'm going to put, and this side column right here is going to be for A1 is applicant 1 and A2 is applicant 2. So that's how you'll break it up. So we only have an A1, so we're going to put A1, and then we're going to put SNAP benefits of $480 a month, and then we're going to put child support of $500 a month, and they don't have any other income, but if they did, you're going to list that here too. Also, a good thing to list is child 16 or up, not employed, or if they are employed, list their information here. But for this scenario, we're going to put child 16 not employed, and we're going to mark their income as 0. So you want to be as detailed as possible in this section so that it can have an accurate representation. So on assets and liabilities, this is where you will go to your credit report. So on this particular section, you're going to make sure you click jointly or not jointly. This, since they're single, it's not jointly. So on the asset section, we're going to put the amount that you are able to access in your account towards a down payment. So if it's available to you and can be liquidated, it has to be listed to represent what is in your actual possession. So for instance, if you have a checking account or savings account with money in those, even if it's 1 penny, we want it listed here. So you're going to put your account, checking, and then we're going to do the last 4 digits of that account. So I'm going to put 1, I think is what we put earlier. And then we're going to say that there is $122.22 in there. Then you're going to put the name and the address of the bank, 123 Money Lane, Austin, Texas, 78735, and account number. We're going to put the last 4 of the account number here. Oops, 01. Right, and 122. So if y'all notice, if the cash or market should match the value here. So you're just going to follow those down. And then any other additional accounts, savings accounts, any other account that shows on your bank statement, you're going to list here. And any other account, say for instance, you have 401k or something like that, you're also going to list that here. Life insurance, if you have a whole life insurance policy that you're able to access, you're going to list that amount here. Any stocks, any bonds, if you own real estate, this section where it says automobiles, only list the automobiles that you're, like, say for instance, you own them, they're cash cars, and you're going to sell those items in order to use towards your down payment. That's the only automobiles that you're going to list here. And then other assets, say for instance, you have a family member that's going to gift you some money for the home, you're just going to put gift, and we're going to say maybe $1,000. We're going to put that there. All right. Then you're going to go through and you're going to total up all of these assets. So 122 plus 1,000, that's going to be 1122.22. Oh, where's my screen? It skipped it through. All righty. So if you don't see anything right there, don't even worry about it. I will correct it. But if you're not using Adobe, just write it in to the best of your ability. All right. So liability section, which is the same page, but on the right columns. You're going to list what is shown on your credit report as a liability, meaning something that you owe as far as a collection, revolving account, anything that's showing on the credit report. You're going to list that information here with the name, the address, the account number, how many months, the monthly payment, and how many months are left on that. And then if there's an unpaid balance, you're going to put all of that here. You're going to do that for every single account that is listed on your credit report. If you do not have your credit report, it is mandatory that you pull that credit report first. I recommend that y'all use the link that I supplied, which gives you a free trial for $1, and it pulls. We have to have a tri-merge credit report, meaning all 3 credit bureaus, even if they don't have, say you only have 2 scores and one of them doesn't report a score, that's fine. But we need to have all 3 credit bureaus so we can see what your credit looks like before it's being ran to make sure that you are qualified for this program. You don't want to have to do all of this and then we send it over to the underwriter just to find out this person doesn't qualify. So we need that as a preliminary report to assess your situation. If you don't have any accounts, that's fine. But typically this section should be filled out. If you don't have any credit reporting accounts, I want y'all to list the self-pay accounts or any other type of account that you may have in this section so we can verify that as alternative credit if we need it. So you're going to put any alimony or child support that is owed that you have to pay to someone. You're going to put that in this section. Any child care or any other job related expense, you're going to put that here as well. So you'll put the name of the provider and then the amount that you pay them per month. And that it also counts as a deduction, which again, if you took my workshop, you already are familiar with what those deductions are. So after that's done, so in this section, we didn't list anything. So the total net worth should be the amount of the assets minus the liabilities. So since we don't have any liabilities, the total net worth should be 1122.22. And we're going to fill out liabilities at 0 because we don't have it. Right. So the next section is going to be schedule of real estate owned. Only enter this section if you own real estate. If you actually own real estate, or you have sold or are pending to sell real estate, you will only fill out this section if that applies to you. If it doesn't apply to you, then we're going to go ahead and skip, which most of the applicants we get, this section usually does not apply to them. Here you're going to list any alternative names that you've been known under, such as, for instance, whatever's on your credit report. If you see any aliases on there, listed on there. If you don't see that, don't worry about it. Or if, say, for instance, you were married and you went by your married name and now you're single again and it's just your single name and that's what's on the application, you're going to go ahead and put your married name in that alternate names section. So this is another section right here where it says details of transaction. You're going to skip this entire section because we don't have any housing information to enter here just yet. We won't have that until you get your certificate of eligibility and then you go find a home and report back, and then we'll start phase 2 of this process. So you're going to leave that entire details of transaction section blank. However, you are going to completely fill in the declarations section. So if you're applicant 1, you're only going to follow the column that says applicant 1. If you're applicant 2, you're going to follow applicant 2. So since we only have one applicant, we're only dealing with the applicant 1 section. So are there any outstanding judgments? You're just going to go through and you're going to answer these questions and be as honest and as possible on these questions. Is any part of your down payment borrowed? Are you a U.S. citizen? That will be yes. Are you a permanent resident alien? I'm going to select no, but if you are, you're going to select yes. Do you intend, this is an important question, do you intend to occupy the property as your primary residence? We're going to select yes, because one of the requirements for this program is that this be your primary residence. It says, have you had ownership interest in a property in the last 3 years? Have you owned any in the last 3 years is what this question is asking. If not, you're going to select no. If it's yes, of course, you're just going to select yes. If you select yes, then that's when you're going to fill out 1 and 2, and that will complete that section. And so here you're going to, I'm going to go ahead and date it. 2025. We're going to date it. And then typically you're going to e-sign here. So there is a feature in my Adobe where I can e-sign it. But if you don't have that feature, what I want you to do is just to leave that blank, and then I will send you over a DocuSign for you to sign it. There's only one particular form in this application process that requires what we call a wet signature. And all that means is that we need the actual ink from you signing it. So that is the only form that you will have to print out and physically sign and send back to us to attach. So if you're not able to sign here with DocuSign or Adobe Fill and Sign, which I recommend everybody download one of the two, either Adobe Fill and Sign or Acrobat, because it's going to make this whole entire process a lot easier to where you're not having to wait to print out stuff. You can just go in and sign it. If you don't have it, of course, like I said, leave it blank, and then I will send you a DocuSign where you can actually enter in that signature. The next thing is going to be demographic information. This is required on all loan applications for borrowers to answer. So what you're going to do is just answer it accordingly. If you do not wish to furnish that information, you're more than welcome to select that. If not, just answer based on what applies to you. So I'm going to hit not Hispanic or Latino for me, Black or African American. I'm a female. And then that's all that I need for this particular section. And then in this section, it will be my information. So you do not have to fill out any of this. I will actually fill that out once I receive the application back. And then also this section right here is strictly for if you needed additional space. Say, for instance, you ran out of space for the liabilities or you ran out of space for your income, you'll put that information in this section. And it also assets. So say, for instance, we filled in all the assets. And we had another asset, so we're going to put 002 here. The amount is $230. The bank name, address, such and such, so on and so forth. You'll just use this section to enter additional information that you ran out of space prior. Now, the next section is going to be for the RHS assistance. So this is going to be a section 502. Section 504 is going to be for those that are needing repairs or something like that. So if you're not applying for those programs, just click on section 502, which is what this particular program is for, and then fill out the rest. So you're going to go ahead and fill out test application. Have you ever obtained a loan or grant? We're going to say no. Are you a relative to anyone? No. If you are a relative, you're just going to enter this information. It's self-explanatory, excuse me. But if you are a relative, just enter that information in relationship. Are you a veteran? For this particular application, we're going to select no. Now, in this section, I need y'all to be as thorough as possible. You're going to enter in your information and all of the dependents and household members that are not only your application, that are going to reside in your home. So, for instance, you're only going to list your dependents, any other relative or someone that may be living in the household with you that will also move into the new home with you. You're going to list all of their information here. So we're going to do test application, test dependent. And I usually just list everybody first and then go back in there and fill in the blanks. And test dependent 3. Oops. And then I'm going to put their age, 11. I think we said 11. Was it 13 or 15? 11, 15, and 16, I guess. Are you a full-time student? Nope. Are they full-time students? Yes and yes. Do you want to be considered for an adjustment for household income because of a disabling condition? So if you have proof of a disability, you're going to select yes here. This helps count towards your deductions. But for this particular exercise, we're going to say no on all of them. But if that is your situation, of course, you're going to select yes. So annual wage and income, we're going to say the annual is about $24,000. None of the dependents have income, so we're going to list all 0 for them. However, if one of your dependents, say for instance, they're 16 and they work, then you're just going to list however much they make working for that employer. You're just going to list that here. And wage of source of income, we're going to say employed. You can skip these or put NA. An annual non-wage income, that is any additional income that you may receive from whatever sources or whatnot. Even if, say for instance, you receive child support, but it's not documented child support, it's just an amount that the other party voluntarily gives to you, but know that it's consistent, you get it every single month and is well documented, you're going to list that information here as annual non-wage income. And then if you have any other income, such as Social Security, alimony, child support, etc., you're going to list that information in this section as well. Number 9, if you have child care for minors who are under the age of 12, who you are required to pay for because you need to work, go to school, or are in training for work, you're going to list how much you're paying per week and then how much you're paying per month in both of these sections. 10, you're going to list the name, the address, and the telephone number of the child care provider. So usually in this box, I have y'all list the name and the address, and then the box that's right underneath it, that's where you can list the phone number. And I'm just going to do just so y'all can have the visual. And 512 333 44. All right. Hopefully that's not anybody's real number. So 11 is the characteristics of the present housing. So this is an important section because the USDA program is based on priority. So say for instance, there is a family that applied and they have issues with plumbing, or they're in a really debilitated area or home and the housing isn't safe or stable. That is something that the USDA is going to consider. So you're going to answer these questions based on your personal situation. So if you lack plumbing, lack heating, it's physically deteriorated or structurally unsound, meaning the roof may cave in or something like that. If it's overcrowded, meaning there's more than 2 people per bedroom, and that's for bigger families. Say for instance, not even really bigger families, but say for instance, you're in a 1-bedroom and it's you and 4 children, then you're going to select that because that is 2 people, it's more than 2 people per room. So you're going to select that if that you meet that criteria. I'm going to select no on all of these except for the overcrowded. because we're going to say that this family is in a 1 bedroom. Now, this section is very important because with USDA, we need to verify 12 months of rental history in the event that you have an issue with credit. Even though this program is not credit based, there are benefits to verification of rental history that makes your file more favorable. So we're going to accurately list your landlord information. Now, if you live with a relative, you can list that information. It will be something that will run by the underwriter to see how they want to handle that, but it will have to be verifiable, so such as you pay them in a money order, or you can show that this amount was deducted from your bank account. So it needs to have a paper trail to it. So I'm going to fill this out just so y'all can have the visual. And I forgot what the address was earlier, but I'm going to put whatever the address for the landlord, you're going to put that here. Or if it's just your address, put that there. 123 home. And definitely make sure that we have an accurate phone number. And so say, for instance, you have resided there for less than 2 years, or you resided there for less than a year. Please list both. That way we can combine both of the amount of time. Say, for instance, you stayed at one place, you've been at the current place for 3 months, but you had prior history for over a year and a half. You're going to list that here so we can at least verify 12 continuous months of rental history. And let's scroll through. We got a couple more pages. So these are all disclaimers that you can read at your leisure. Then we're going to date this application 12/20/25 and sign it, of course. I'm going to enter the name again, test application, and then sign. Have this signed right here. You do not have to worry about 17 on down because that is actually for the underwriter. When they receive it and process the application, then they'll go in and enter this information. Keep in mind when you submit the application, there will be a request for a $30 fee, and that goes directly to RD because they pull your credit to actually, even though we use the preliminary report, they will do their own credit pull, which $30 is a steal, guys, especially in the mortgage world. Right now, we're looking at $95 credit report fees. So this fee is very nominal for them to pull your credit. And you, again, 17 on down, you don't have to worry about. You can just skip that section. This section is the notice to applicant regarding your Privacy Act information. You can read that at your leisure. And that is the entire application process. So for the most part, it's a very simple and easy application process. It's not that hard. Just remember the points that I made in this application video, and then I'm going to show y'all the next item that you will need to submit with this application. There's 2 different forms. There's going to be form 3550-4, which is employment and asset certification. And then there's going to be form 3550-1, which is the authorization to release information. And I'm going to walk y'all through both of those so you know how to fill those out as well. And, oh, sorry, I went to the wrong one. Hold on. Alrighty. I'm actually going to use Adobe fill-in sign just so y'all can see how easy it is to use that one. There it goes. Adobe fill-in sign. So it'll just pull it up. And so on these boxes, it's asking you to certify the information for all the adult household members. Keep in mind, only the adult household members. So it's going to either ask you to certify that the following adult household members are not presently employed and do not intend to resume employment in the foreseeable future. So this will be, for instance, elderly adult household members that are not working and are at home, and you don't intend for them to go to work, or they don't intend to go back to work, and also disabled adults. You'll list that information here. And it is very possible you'll have to fill out all 3 of these sections depending on your household makeup. But for this particular exercise, we don't have that, so we're not going to list that. The second section is, I hereby certify that the following adult household members are not presently employed, but they are actively seeking employment, and I agree to notify RHS immediately when they become reemployed. So this is for anyone who is an adult, able-bodied individual in the household they're currently not working, but they are actively seeking employment. You're going to list that information here, and then you're also certifying that once they become employed, that you will diligently let RHS know that they are employed. So in this scenario, we're not going to check anything because we don't have that for our household. Now, the very last section, everybody should have this section checked because it's for the adult household members that are currently employed. If you're applying for this loan, you have to have employment or some type of income. So you're going to list yourself here. And I'm going to put course test applicant on here. And sometimes you have to move it. Usually it lets you click into the box and then you're able to type. See, like that, it lets you type it in. But if not, you can move this information around. So you're going to fill that out. And then this is the asset certification. So they go together. The one is the employment certification. The second one is the asset certification. So you're going to list the household member that has the, sometimes you have to hit that A button. Let me show y'all again, where it actually reduces the size of the font. So we're going to list test applicant, and we're going to say that the non-retirement asset, because you do not have to include retirement assets in this qualification. So we're going to list the non-retirement assets, and based on the application, I think we were 11/22/22. And if you have more, you're going to list it. So if it's test applicant has another one, you're going to list those in total. And then you're going to sign that. And on here, I'm going to just create a new signature, test applicants, and you're going to date it 06/12/2025. All righty. And that you're going to put this for every single adult household member. Correction. You're going to put adult household members for the employment certification. And then for the asset certification, it's going to be adult and children. So it'll be the entire household on here. And you're just going to list each one. If you run out of space, guys, just follow the same pattern right underneath here because you have a little bit of a room. All right. And so when you get done with that, what you're going to do is hit either print or you can save to files. I save to files. And then you're just going to mark it your last name dash and then the name of the form. So that one's done. And then the very last one is the one that we actually need your physical signature on. And that's going to be form 3550-1, authorization to release information. We're going to use Adobe Fill and Sign again on this one. And this one is really simple to fill out. You're going to just type your name here. So we're going to put test applicant again. And then we're going to date it 06/12/2025. And then you're going to print this out. I'm going to sign it on here, but we're actually going to print this out and sign it. Do not e-sign this document. We get not so many, but when applicants don't go through our workshop and they fill it out, we have to send that back to them for them to print and fill out. And it's frustrating, but it's a requirement. So this is the one document that you actually have to put your physical signature on. These are the only sections that we need is for the name, your signature, and the date. The top part we will fill out based on who we send it to, such as your landlord or your employer or anyone that we need to verify assets or information to. We'll fill out that portion so you don't have to do that. And again, you're going to save it to files as your last name, RD355-1. And that is pretty much everything. That concludes all that we'll need in order to get your application, the documents that we need to get you started, in addition to the other documents that you'll upload. And if you have access to our portal, you can just go in and either log in or you can sign up if it's your first time. If you're already signed up, you'll, of course, just log in. And then once you enter into the portal, it'll walk you through where to upload. So if you can see here, you're going to upload based on whatever the section it is. Just click on it and then you'll upload the document. Alrighty, guys. So that concludes my step-by-step walkthrough of the application. If you have any questions, you guys know how to reach me, and I will leave my information at the end of this video. All right. Thank you.